Okay, let's work on creating some of the parts of the equipment hierarchy. I'm going to kind of back into this. I'm going to go to the equipment screen first, and our equipment items need to be placed somewhere. And they're placed in a line and at a work area location. Now, you'll have needed to watch the equipment hierarchy video first to really understand how this works, but essentially this is part of the equipment hierarchy, and these are just ways to group up the equipment. So let's go ahead and create a process and a line and a work area location. Keeping in mind we can always change the names of these equipment hierarchy labels very easily, and that's done from the program configuration screen. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, close out everything, and I'm going to start here. And I notice when I open the screen I've got 5 screen tabs. This first one here, I can create a new plant, and I've already got a few plants up here, a couple of them, so I'm not going to do that at this point. Keep in mind that a plant will contain data appropriate to itself only. So when a user logs in, they log into a plant, and that plant will just show them equipment items, inventory, and so on that's owned by that particular plant. Now you can have up to 900 plants in one database in MainSmart. Most applications will have one. Alright, let's move on to our equipment hierarchy building. So I'm going to add a work area location, and looks like we're working with a commercial bakery here. I'm going to go ahead and add, I've got an air compressor room. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and add an electrical room. Okay, this might be where we have our switch gear and circuit breakers and so on. So that's going to be a physical location. And next I'll go ahead and close this. I'm going to go over here to this next yellow background button, and I'm going to create a process. Now if we look at this and understanding this data is a commercial bakery, this makes sense. We have a bread process, and that bread process may consist of bread production, bread packaging, could be a couple of different lines. There might be bread production line 1, 2, 3, 4 till whatever number you want to go to, and so on. In this case, what we're going to do is we're adding an electrical so-called process, and it's not really a process, but since we've used these labels, process and line, and we need to put that grouping somewhere, we're going to put it here. So the idea of this labeling process and line is to be the best fit for the most equipment. It's never going to fit everything. For example, you probably have office equipment. You may have an administration department. Those aren't processes, but they need to go somewhere. So this is our best fit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, I'll call it support equipment, or just support. Okay, so this might entail our pneumatics, our airlines, our air compressor systems, our electrical, plumbing, and so on might all fall under this. And then we could break it down by the line. So come in here and pick support, and we could say electrical. Okay, so I like that, except I'm not real crazy about this. I actually want to make this a little more clear, so I'm going to come in here and edit this by selecting the row, and I'm just going to say support equipment, or better yet, support systems. There we go. I like that. Okay, so we've created our work area location, electrical room, that's a physical location. Support systems, now that's kind of a functional location. It's not identifying a particular geographical location. And then under line, we picked electrical. Well, that's certainly not identifying any particular physical location. So you can see kind of how the Mate Smart Equipment hierarchy can help you. You can group your equipment up by the physical location and also by a functional location. Okay, well, let's see how this works when we add equipment to it. Okay, so we've already done a video on how to set up equipment, so I'm not going to go through all the nuances of this, but let's just go ahead and add an equipment item, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So I click the New button, and I'll go ahead and I will pick my electrical. And remembering, this is owned by Support Systems. We don't see process here, but we know that that line is owned by Support Systems. So if we do a query on Support Systems, it's going to pull all the so-called lines that are contained by that, and therefore all the equipment that's contained by this line. So you can see this can give you some pretty powerful filtering and reporting capability by grouping up your equipment in this manner. Next, I'm going to go to the work area location and associate this with the physical location of the electrical room. And let's see what we have. We may not even have any electrical equipment in here, so I don't think we created any. Well, we got generator. We'll just go with that. Okay, so we have generator. And so we added this. Now, one thing to note on the equipment display name, this is how the equipment will be represented throughout the program in all the drop-down lists and everywhere else. So it's defaulting and creating a name for you, but there's no reason why you should have to use that. You actually have up to 255 characters to describe this equipment. Many of our users like to include an asset number here. And I'm just typing a bunch of numbers and letters in here. In any event, you could do this whatever you want. You've got all kinds of room here. We suggest that you use, for the equipment display name, whatever the people that are using the software are most familiar with calling that particular piece of equipment. Alright, I'll save that. And that is how we create our equipment hierarchy data and associate an equipment item with it.